What's up, man? Truth Moments. I know y'all been waiting. Y'all been waiting for a minute to hear back from us, but hey, man, it's been crazy. But hey, I wanted to tap in with you. I got my guy Tim with me. It's going to be a good day. We just want to tap in, and Tim is a guy that works at Reach. So we just hired you, February? I guess it was maybe April.
Yeah, it was April.
April, we hired you, and so Tim is on staff for the church. We like to say in ministry that you are the Reach Homes director. But the way I always describe it is there's this elastic clause, and so it's like anything else you're asked to do. And so you get a lot more on your plate than just Reach Homes. But introduce yourself, man. Tell the system, who you are.
So my name's Tim. I'm a person in recovery. I got a lot of homeboys that are sitting right where you guys are at today.
Yeah.
And, one of them that's still really close to me that I talk to on the phone all the time tells me how proud he is of me because he says that I should be in there with him right now. Yeah. I should be in there with them guys. But
does he get to see you on Pando?
Yeah, he'll be watching this.
Nice.
He knows who he is.
Nice.
But by the grace of God, I'm sitting here with you today.
Yeah.
And so my mission in life and my purpose in life, I feel, is to afford guys that luxury when they get out.
Yeah.
That same grace that was shown to me, I want them to have that opportunity when they're released.
Yeah. Dude's going to be running around the pod, bro, like, look, dog, that's my homie. Dude, I be calling, like, that's him, man.
Yup.
That's legit, man. Yeah, well, we are honored to have you, on staff, honored to have you here today. One of the things I have found is that, like, it's a little easier to get people's buy-in when they have your trust.
Absolutely.
Right? And so one of the ways that I have found to kind of help establish that trust is through just getting to know somebody a little bit better. Share your story for a little bit. Where'd you come from? What kind of laid the foundation for you to end up in life where you was at? And then what kind of brought you to the place that you're at now?
So I grew up in a pretty good home. Both my parents were there. My dad's ex-military. My mom, she's a hard worker, and they always provided for us. I've got two sisters. Somewhere along the way, I got caught up in being a people pleaser and just seeking the attention of others. And that drew me to a pretty negative crowd, which led to drug use, which led to criminal activity. After 20 years of addiction, the gambit of drugs. What do you got? Do you have more? That's what I used to tell people. Right. That was my kick. It led to 7 pending felonies here in the state of Missouri, and just more trouble than I knew what to do with. I think the defining moment of when I decided that I needed to go a different direction was when I was sitting in Clay County Jail, and my public defender was sitting there saying, "Tim, you're going to go to prison for a long time." And I said, "That's okay." And I just gave up. Later that day, I was in the pod talking to my mom on the phone, and she was like, "Absolutely, you cannot go to prison."
Yeah.
And I knew then that if I continued on the path that I was on, that I was going to break my mother's heart. And I'm a mama's boy, so, I couldn't do that to her. And so I started seeking other avenues, and I got a treatment bed, and they released me from Clay County Jail. And I went to treatment, and I started to realize that there are things that I can do in life without criminal activity or without drugs and alcohol. And I started to get better. I moved into an Oxford house. I stayed there for 3 years. I started working with a gentleman who worked for Oxford House, and he really just started molding me and drawing things out of me that I never knew were there. And I started to become a leader in that community. Started dating she's now my wife, but she was my girlfriend at the time, and she was a member of this church, Reach KC. And she always talked about you guys.
Nice.
And I always said, you know what, no, that's not for me. That's not for me. And it wasn't until I was doing okay in life, but I was still missing something, that I surrendered to the call.
Yeah.
And said, yeah, that's where I need to be. And my first time here, you're up on stage. I don't even remember what you were preaching on, bro, but it struck a chord in my heart, and my hand shot up before I knew what I was doing, and I've been bought in ever since.
Come on.
Been here faithfully. I don't think I've missed a day.
Yeah.
I serve faithfully. I'm involved. I mean, if there's something going on here at our church, I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and so I've had that conversation from the pulpit, from of just even that buy-in of being connected to the local church and just serving, you know. And one of the things that you was just talking about that kind of hit me was how you talked about who I know, the guy that kind of helped see something in you and raise you up. And one of the things that I love about that is a lot of the times from our background, it's hard to submit to somebody that even sees something in you that you don't even see in yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And here this guy was that saw something, leadership in you, not fully knowing what it would transpire into, and I'm thankful that he did that because we got the blessing of his fruit, or of his sowing, rather. We got the fruit of his labor. And, it kind of reminds me of the scripture where the Apostle Paul is talking, and he says that, I think it's Paul, I don't know now, that I'm thinking about it, because it says, Paul planted, Apollos watered, and God gave the growth. Or Apollos planted, Paul watered, whichever one of those it is. It's like sometimes when we're coming out of prison, we're coming out of these structured environments, it's like this mindset in us that says we're soft.
Yeah.
If we submit to a process, to a program, to a person. It's like the 3 Ps, you know what I'm saying? It's like something within specifically men but women too, but specifically men that just says you're soft, you're weak, you can't submit. But I mean, honestly, I think it's worth capitalizing on even that for just a moment. What does that look like inside of you in that moment when you was coming out and you had somebody that saw something in you that maybe you saw, maybe you didn't see in yourself, and just kind of started raising you up and investing in you and correcting you and taking that? How did you come from the mindset of criminal behavior to taking correction from somebody that was kind of in the same environment as you but saw something in you?
Yeah, so, I think a lot of it was, and I'm going to speak on this person's character for a minute, they were patient, but they were firm.
Yeah.
Like, there was no enabling going on there. And so that's what drew me to that was, okay, here's a man who's about his business. And he's willing to go out of his way to help me out, but he ain't about to let me take advantage of him. Because that's what I was seeking more than anything in that whole lifestyle that I lived before, and even for a while when I first got into recovery, was what do you have and what am I going to get out of it?
Right. How much can I get?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was looking for that easy way out. But having somebody who was like, listen, bro, we're going to go to bat for you, but we're not going to fall down. We're not going to fold for you.
Yeah.
Was a game changer. Yeah. And, I try to institute that into my life today with not just relationships with other men, but just people in general.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a core value, not just at our church now, but also at the homes, that we will always remain teachable.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of one of those things to just, it don't mean that you have to be less than somebody, but it's just being objective so that, like, hey, somebody else might have a better opinion than mine, and, like, I understand that, and I, am challenged by that sometimes, and I love the fact that, honestly, the way that God molds the body is allowing different members, and it doesn't mean that one member is greater than the other, right? Like, you know, a toe is a toe, and they're kind of weird if you think about it. You know what I'm saying? But like without your toes, you could not stand up.
Facts.
You know, and so like even though sometimes certain roles in the body are meant to be in the background, maybe they're covered, maybe they're a little more obscure, maybe they're a little bit, doesn't devalue what you have to give the body. Actually, you have to just be secure in that mindset of saying, hey, you know what? I'm okay with playing the background for a moment because I still play a part.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a big part of what it means. And I'm saying all of this because, like, I know coming from this environment where a lot of alphas are beating their chest, you know, it's a can't show a sign of weakness or I'll get taken advantage of or whatever. And then we come from that and then we go to a structured environment. When I say structured environment, tell us just a little bit about the Reach Homes. Like, what is a Reach Home?
So Reach Home is a discipleship for currently men. Here in the future, we'll have some for women, but right now we're focused on laying our roots.
Yeah.
And we're going to be able to do that best with what we know.
Sure.
Other men.
Yeah.
There's a lot of discipline involved in it, but there's a lot of self-discipline involved in that. And that's what we're trying to foster in the home, is creating can you hold yourself accountable?
Yeah.
I'm going to help you hold yourself accountable, and I'm going to show you the path that God put out in front of us. Mm-hmm. It's not my path. It's not Adam's path. It's God's path that he's laid out through his word. And so, you know, I hear a lot of times I talk to guys that are currently incarcerated that are like, man, I heard this program's real strict. It can be.
Yeah.
It is what you make of it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to walk the path and you're going to hold your head up high and you're going to say, hey, I'm going to submit to the program, then I don't think it's as hard as it's made out to be. But it can be strict.
Yeah. If you want to just have your way and do what you want and go see a different girlfriend every other night and go stay the night at some hoochie mama's house and, you know, you just want the liberty to go continue to live how you've lived previously that's got you to the situation that you're in, then yeah, it's strict.
Yeah.
Because we don't permit that.
Yeah, you're going to hear about it.
Yeah, you will hear about it. You'll be sanctioned. You'll be, but why is some of those parameters set in place?
Man, they're important. I mean, I can't emphasize enough the importance of that structure, you know, as recovering addicts, as people who have been a part of the criminal justice system for a lot of our lives. It's scientifically proven that we thrive on that routine and we thrive on that structure. Yeah, it looks a little different when it's coming from a CO or a judge. It feels a little bit more natural when it's coming from somebody who's walked that path, who's been in that same situation. But that structure is completely necessary because it's creating a discipline that's saying, I know what I need to do and I know how to do it regardless of the situation.
Yeah. And it's kind of like a submitting to the process, you know, because we're not really challenging you to do anything more than be a man of God.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, some of those parameters are in place because it reminds me of like, so I went to California one time. I used to do tree work, and I went to California because there was a tree guy that I knew out there that had landed this contract with dead pine trees on the side of the mountains from a fire. And there was, I mean, it was a massive job that I was possibly able to land. And so I fly out to Fresno and I'm with this guy, and he's not a believer, not that it matters in this situation. But I'm riding passenger in his car, and I remember just winding through the mountains out there. And when we was on these mountains, this dude drove like crazy, bro. And I you know, my wife says I drive crazy. I think she's wrong, but it's because I'm behind the wheel.
Yeah.
and I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
And I know that I have control of the car. I know when to brake. I know when to turn. I know when to do that. And most likely, I'm familiar with the layout of the land. But when I was riding passenger, I was a little, I did not have control. So I wasn't able to know when he was braking, did he know that? Did he? And when I look out of the passenger window, it was just straight down and there was no guardrails. And I'm like, why would they not have guardrails? And I mean, multiple times I seen my life flash before my eyes, bro, because I didn't have control.
Right.
And I'm looking at worst case scenario. If this person guides me wrong, I could potentially go down the side of this mountain. And that's why I personally see that guardrails are important, because if you have those guardrails, it just sets in place those parameters. And even if you're not the one driving the car because you have to submit to the program, somebody else is able to say, hey, I've got control of this car. Trust me, I've been down this road before. I know the next turn. I know it before you know it. I see it before you see it.
Yeah.
If you'll listen to me while I'm trying to guide you down this road, there is guardrails that are set in place to keep you from driving off, to keep us from driving off the side of this mountain. And just trust me to drive the car for a minute.
Yeah.
You know, because like these parameters that we're asking to be set are nothing more than what, in fact, they're not even as weighty.
I know that's right.
This is. I mean, you know, go on and get on Pando on our channel and click on the sermon that was downloaded today. You know,
That was a heavy one.
Dude, it was a heavy one, and you'll be challenged by the parameters that was set in that, and the parameters that we set are really just, hey, we've been here, and we've done this, and so in that, like, I know you had mentioned a little bit about Oxford House. What kind of was your role? What did you do? What kind of experience did you gain there?
Man, so, you know, I started out as just a regular member. You know, I walked through those doors straight out of treatment, 30 days removed from drugs and alcohol, and I got involved. When people said, hey, we need help with this, I said, hey, I'm ready, let's go.
Yeah.
And that's when the outreach worker, I'll go ahead and shout him out, Lance Whitney.
Many probably know him.
Yes, they do. He saw that, and he said, okay, come with me. And he started raising me up in leadership. I started out a member, I became a house president. That gave me the opportunity to just get involved with every aspect of the house. Finances, chores, correction when behaviors were happening. You know, it was a democratic process, but I was the boots on the ground. Right. I was on the front line, pulling up on bro, saying, hey, you know, I see what's going on with you. I heard you fighting with baby mama yesterday. What can I do to help?
Right.
And then it moved on to an area thing, where not only was I doing all those things in the house that I lived in, but I was doing those things in all of the houses in the Kansas City area.
Yeah.
And then from there, it evolved into a state thing, where I was helping out across the entire state of Missouri. At the time, I think we had about 45 houses. They're pushing 50 at this point. And I just, you know, my heart has always been to help people. And never put anybody down, never punish anybody, never be like, hey, look what you did wrong. But it's, hey, what can we do to help you? So, you know, that's where a lot of the experience that I got was.
Yeah. What do you think? Because I know correction is not easy, and we're thinking about Reach Homes and just discipleship housing and helping men specifically come out of prison and transition back into society as men of God. What's some advice that you may have off the top of your head for somebody that struggles with taking that correction from somebody and is challenged by that if they're maybe in a setting like what we're talking about.
So, I mean, correction is hard to receive, but correction is also hard to give. I want you to like me.
Right.
I want you to be my friend. I want to be a part of your life. Otherwise, God wouldn't have put me in the position that he has.
Yeah.
However, if I turn the other cheek and look the other way every time you start acting a certain way that's not living up to the standard that God has set for us, then I'm doing you a disservice.
Yeah.
And that's just the mindset that you have to have. That goes back to what we were talking about, that core value that we have, always remaining teachable. But, also remembering that we're all jacked up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, Tim or Adam's not coming at me because they're out to get me or they're out to put me down. They're coming at me because they want to see me do better and they believe that I can.
Right. Yeah. And that, it goes back to the beginning of the conversation when you was referencing Lance is, believing and trusting that somebody could be seeing something in you. I think that we come from the mindset in the streets. I know that, like, you came from, a pretty healthy family that you said, but, like, a lot of the times, like, the streets will establish this distrust in you to where, like, it's me, myself against everybody. Like, I can do it all by myself, and I don't trust nobody. Everybody's snakes, and you don't have my best. You're just trying to get one off on me and trying to make me look like a punk. And that mindset is stapled in men, specifically that are coming out of prison because men have abused them. They've grown up with no father, whatever the case may be. Friends have turned on them. Brothers have slept with their baby mamas. I mean, all different kinds of, things. I mean, there's so many different stories that you could hear. And yet we're asking you to, hey, I need you to denounce all of that. And I need you to trust me.
Yeah.
But that can be so difficult. But what is an example, maybe, or a testimony of one of the guys that has come into the house? And you don't have to say a name or anything if you don't want, but just what is an example of one of the guys that has come in the house that you have seen some of this kind of transformation in?
Man, so, it's like you said, we went from a dysfunctional community into a functioning community.
Yeah.
And that's completely foreign. It's like, what the heck is going on here? And I've seen countless times guys walk through the door and say, "Ooh, I don't know if this is where I belong." And it's hard to look at them and say, "I promise you're where you need to be. Just give it some time." Because another part of that dysfunctional community is we ain't got time. Mm-hmm. It's got to be now, and it's got to happen when I say it needs to happen. And then you fast forward over here to where it's like, hey, just sit down, be patient, be cool. I have seen guys who were fresh out the joint, withdrawn, very reserved, didn't want to talk to anybody, didn't want to come out of their room, to being involved, wanting to be at church any chance they get, wanting to volunteer at the new building, wanting to be a part of our lives.
Yeah.
Because they see the fruit of our lives.
Yeah. And it's attractive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're not out here advertising, but we're attracting by what we're doing. And these guys see that. There was a young man that my wife and I went and picked up from the county jail. He'd been in there for 9 months. And he would, on the phone, when I talked to him, he said, "Man, I just need a chance. I need a chance to do something different." And I said, "Okay, well, we've got something different than what you're used to."
Yeah.
But that's exactly what it is. It's what you're not used to. So I need to know that you're ready to submit to what we got going on. And he said, absolutely. And I see this individual thriving. Yeah, he's still a little rough around the edges in some areas, but aren't we all?
Yeah.
You and I have conversations where I'm like, "Hey, bro, I don't know if this is if my heart's right on
am
this.
Am I right here? Or am I,
yeah.
And I have the same conversations, and I think that's just part of, like, trusting those that God has set in front of you. Trusting those that God has set in front of you, believing that, they're seeking counsel from people that will help them give you counsel, and just trust. I mean, I always say it, just like look at the fruit of somebody's life.
Yeah.
And if that's attractive to you, then get around them because it's sticky. You will catch if you get around them and you cut off some of the other people. Like that's, to me, one of the big things, man, like coming out, this last time when I got out of prison, I just realized like, you know what, I have to change everything. Like I've got to change my playgrounds, my playmates. I've got to change everything that I do because I don't want to continue to get the same result that I've got all of these years. And, we hit on this just a little bit ago was, being committed to the church, being committed to the process. And, that's the one thing that I did different this time. I got out and I didn't hang around the same people that I used to hang around. And I told myself, I'm not missing a Sunday.
Yeah.
Because I know if I miss a Sunday, man, it don't take too many days for me to get off track from, I know me, I mean, I'm still just a couple of bad decisions away from being who I used to be. I know that. And God has elevated me, and so I know that it's super easy to do. And so, again, just give a quick, we talked about what the Homes was, but just give a quick explanation of what does the process at Reach Homes look like?
You talking like what the guys do on a day-to-day basis?
If I was to submit my application today, what does it look like? And then once you get accepted into the program,
Okay.
what does it? Let's talk about accepted into the program first, and then we'll talk about applications here in a
Okay.
minute.
So once you're accepted into the program, you are a member of that family. It's more than just a group of guys coming together trying to get their life right. That is a family culture that we've created there. There's a close bond that doesn't happen overnight, but it's created over time through trust, through being reliable, through holding each other accountable. And all of that takes place in really where the magic happens is during Bible study.
Yeah.
Which happens 3 nights a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, from 7 to 8. And now we don't limit ourselves to that 1 hour.
Right.
If it's going over, it's going over.
Right,
because
God's
that's when
doing
it gets
something.
good, bro.
Yeah, if God's doing something, we're going to let him do it, right?
Oh, hey, no, it's 8 o'clock. Gotta go.
Stop the spirit. Stop.
No, and that's where most of that bond is created. So 2 nights out of that week, there's a Bible study curriculum that the guys are going through and they're working on as a group. And then 1 night out of the week, we meet and we discuss the chapter out of a book that we're reading. We're currently reading Pastor Doug's book, 10 Men,
Nice.
talking about the life of David. And, man, there's a lot of meat and potatoes in there.
Yeah, shout out to Doug Reed. If you have a chaplain that would desire us to get in some good books to you, I actually have about 6 cases and can get more. So have your chaplain look up Reach KC. They can shoot us an email. That email will come to me, and then we can have some books sent directly to it. It's 10 Men. It's looking at 10 healthy relationships that every man needs straight out of the Bible. And so I encourage you to get with your chaplain, have them contact me. We would love to send a case of books to the prison and get them in there at no cost and be able to, no cost to the prison and be able to get them in there so that guys can go through it. Because this book is really good.
Yeah, it's fire.
Yeah.
It definitely is. And it's drawn some of those vulnerable conversations like, hey, this happened to me when I was a kid, and this is why I can't get close to other men.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I did this to a group of people, and this is why I'm guarded in my life. And we talk about those things, and we open up about it. And, the Spirit's really moving in the house on Wednesday nights when we do that. So that's just a small portion of what we got going on. Every morning, the guys are encouraged to do a soap.
Yeah.
That's something that we've established here in Growth Track at Reach KC. You read a scripture, you write down your observation, You write down how you could apply that observation in scripture to your life today, and then you write down a prayer containing that. It's just a good journaling practice that they've created.
Yeah.
They're getting in the Word every day. They're reading. I mean, I know you get up and read the Word every morning. I do the same thing. And so, we're not asking those guys to do anything that we don't already do.
Right.
And that's just it. That's where it's at right there for me.
Is. Yeah. Yeah.
Learning to identify God's Word, the truth that He has spoken for us in everyday aspects, in current situations, is going to get those guys through some hardships. It's gotten me through some hard times.
Yeah. So it's a housing program, right? How is it covered? Is it a self-sufficient program? Do the guys have to pay rent? What does that look like?
Yeah, so that house is self-sustaining. Those guys that are currently living there and guys that are coming out that have been accepted, they're what pays the mortgage. Yeah. They're what pays the power bill. They're the ones that are putting toilet paper and cleaning supplies into the house. So there's a program fee, and it's a weekly fee of $130.
Okay.
And that covers, like I said, the mortgage, the power, the water, the cable, the coffee, the creamer, all those things. And then the guys are responsible for their own food. Oftentimes I know that these guys get together and they just throw $20 in the pot and they just make a big family meal every night.
Nice.
Guys that we're speaking to right now who are currently incarcerated and they're getting out. A lot of people are living off state tip right now, and that's rough.
Yeah.
I have established relationships within our community who want to help these guys.
Yeah.
Who want to see them get out and not go back. We're trying to reduce the rate of recidivism.
Right.
I mean, you've been out 14 years now, and I know that we want to give these guys that same chance. And so, there are community partners who are like, hey, if we got to shell out $300 to give this dude a chance, let's go.
Right. So is what you're saying is if somebody don't have the first week's rent coming out of prison, they can still get in the program.
Absolutely. Finances has never affected somebody's acceptance into our program.
Nice. Man, I had another thought, and I can't remember what it was now. I don't know. I lost it. I asked another question. I had a thought that I was going to ask before that question. But anyways, yeah, and so if somebody wanted to apply, and they're watching on Pando right now, how would they apply? What's the best means to get that?
So for Missouri Department of Corrections, guys, go to your IPOs, go to your chaplains. I have taken time and tried to foster relationships in all of the camps. Some are lacking a little bit more than others, but IPOs and chaplains in the Missouri Department of Corrections, you're in there like swimwear.
Yeah. And so what if they're out of state? How would they do something like that? Would they write us a letter?
Absolutely.
Okay, so they could just write us a letter and ask us for an application, and then we would just mail them an application? Or would it be best still to see if they could go to their chaplain and see if their chaplain would reach out to us?
Yeah, so that's obviously going to expedite the process a little bit because the chaplain has access to email.
Right.
If the chaplain's like, I don't know what to do, write us a letter. Yeah. Write us a letter, and I'm going to take the time to make sure to type up a letter, inviting you, explaining the program a little bit more, and you're going to get an application and a rule book in the mail.
Okay. Yeah, and so if you want to write us, our address is in our bio on the Pando app. And so you can go in there, you can find it at Reach KC, just look up our channel, and you'll be able to get our address. You can send it. Put attention Tim Stalder. So that's Stalder. Just put attention Tim Stalder, and it will hit his desk, and then he can make sure that you get that application. Because honestly, our hope for you is to see you get out. I know oftentimes that it can be, kind of dismissed. To say, yeah, well, you might be doing it, Pastor, but your life is a little bit different than mine. And honestly, it just looks like that right now.
Right.
But 14 years ago, when I was released from prison, I lived on my little sister's couch for like 8 months, 6 to 8 months, and didn't work.
Right.
Didn't even work. I didn't have to pay rent. I didn't have to do none of that. And then I moved to my mom's after that because my mom lived on the bus line. And so I moved up to my mom's so that I could potentially start looking for a job because I thought it was time. And, so I went through about a year process of integrating in a completely different fashion that I ever had, dude.
Right.
I fell at the mercy of my little sister. I would rather have went to a reach home.
Absolutely. Be at the mercy of Pastor Adam and Tim.
You hear me? Like, dude, yeah. I could be around some cool people. I mean, not that my little sister ain't cool, but, it was like, it's my little sister, I didn't want to have to, it's humbling. But, it was a great time. It was a great experience for me. I needed that in my life, and it really helped me. And we all went to the same church, so it made it good. But, so we just encourage you, like, again, he said it when we started, we're not asking you to do something that we want to do ourselves. And in fact, we have done it. And so, the goal really is to see you get out of prison and be as successful as possible as you can. And we don't mean monetarily. We mean in relationship with Jesus. Like, how could you be the best man of God that you could possibly be? And it would be different if you was seeing things in our lives that didn't line up with what we were preaching. Now, are we going to be perfect? No. Give us grace, because you're going to want the same grace that you expend to us. But, I just think, about that. And so we just wanted to kind of highlight what Reach Homes is. And so it's a men's discipleship program that's kind of underneath the supervision of Reach KC. And we're getting ready to open another house and have some open beds. And so if not, we'll still create a waiting list for guys in prison. That's not really a big deal because, by that time, maybe another house will be open. But nonetheless, any closing thoughts that you think you may have? Or
man, having conversations with guys who are currently incarcerated and who have done pretty long bids and are ready to get out, or guys who have done some pretty extensive bids and have gotten out, man, it starts on that side of the wall.
Yeah.
And then once you get out here, things are going to look a little bit different, but we're going to be that guardrail that you were talking about. We're going to be able to pull up on you and be like, hey, that girl ain't for you right now.
Yeah.
Or, hey, homeboy over there, he ain't for you no more. And so just start maintaining today, and we're going to help you maintain when you get out.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. If I know that really just falls in this category, but I still want to ask you this. If you had one parting thought that you could give somebody as kind of just a little golden nugget that they could hold on to and apply, what would that be?
Man, it got put on my heart earlier today when I was thinking about what we were going to talk about, and Romans 8:31 through 35 just talks about God's love and how no matter what we do, he's not going to abandon us.
Yeah.
Embrace that.
Yeah.
Embrace God's love.
Yeah.
And don't ever feel like I'm not good enough, or I've forsaken him so many times, or he's forsaken me, because those things are just not true.
Yeah.
Embrace God's love. Understand that his grace is there, but also understand that some real heart change has to take place when he's giving you that grace.
Yeah, that's good, man. Well, hey, man, I'm so glad that we've talked about this for I think since you came on staff.
Yeah,
so maybe 6 months. But it's God's timing, man.
Absolutely.
We're in a way better place today than where we are at. You have done a wonderful job at raising up the men's home and just raising up leaders there and just seeing. And so I'm excited to be able to get this out to all of the men and women that are going to be able to see this.
Yes.
We hope it's an encouragement to you. And not even just for the homes, but maybe you have a healthy program or a healthy home plan. hey, invite a friend that you think might be able to benefit from this, and just show them this and have them subscribe to the channel and just check us out, because our hope for you is to see you be the best man or woman of God that you can be. And so I think that's
man.
I think that's it, man. I mean,
the closer you get to your out date, man, start planning for your future. Yeah. And like Adam said, whether that's going home to mom and dad or going to your cousins or your little sisters, whatever that looks like, start planning today, because, the more preparation you put in, the better results you're going to have.
Yeah, it reminds me of one of the things that I did when I was incarcerated was I used to always walk the track, and I would have headphones on and I would just pray. And I just remember many times through fasting and prayer just asking God, give me a vision for my life, because I don't want to just get out and do the same thing. And if you ask and listen, He'll speak to you.
Absolutely.
But so often, many of the times, we get so busy talking that we never listen.
Yeah.
And, I've got stacks. I think I have like a blue envelope of papers about that thick, of just different visions that God kind of spoke to me and, just started to instill in me. And today we're walking out many of those. I mean, I had a housing program that was going to be called Prayer of Jabez, House of Restoration. And that's like a massive, like, Second Baptist of the United Missionary Baptist Church on, it's like, I don't know why I was going to name it all that, but nonetheless, here we are with Reach Homes. Yeah. So, God can give you the vision in your heart if you just ask for it. And so I encourage you, just seek the face of God, say, humbly, like, God, show me your direction. Even if you have a healthy home plan, is it healthy for you? Yeah. And is it going to put you back in the same situation, back in the same circumstances that you've been in before? And maybe a change of process, maybe a reach home for 12 months could be good for you to really solidify your walk with God. Because although you're walking with God in there, let me tell you, when you hit the street, it's completely different. You're faced with different temptations. You're faced with more liberty. You can make mistakes a whole lot bigger and not be held as responsible for them immediately as you are in there. But when it all catches up to you and it all starts crumbling down, we don't want to get you to that moment. No. We want to help you before that moment. And so we encourage you, man, just tap in, keep tapping in. Drop us a kite, man. Somebody will respond to it. Drop us a kite for an application if you want. And other than that, man, keep tapping in. We'll have some more information for you. We'll have some more podcasts for you. But, hey, we love you, man. God bless.